Hi there, and welcome to my channel. The channel that I call Work in Progress, always evolving. We're still a rather new channel, so we're kind of, following the yellow brick road, trying to figure out exactly where this channel's headed. But one idea that I have, we'll see if this evolves, is to have conversations with everyday people just like you and me, meaning don't have to have not written a book, you don't have to be a teacher, but just have us regular folks chat, have conversations about our struggles, our, how we navigate during this very challenging time, or to share our successes, share maybe a story that you think could help somebody else. I think the more that we can have conversations with one another, the more we'll realize that we're much more alike than not alike. So if this idea appeals to you at all, there's my contact information right below this video. And just click on that and let's see if we can make a conversation happen. Okay, so today I want to talk about control, because I've been going through it a lot, meaning thinking I have control or wanting to have control or wish I had control. So let's kind of break it down and see, what does that really mean to have control? Well, first of all, we don't. It's an illusion. We want to have control. We oftentimes believe we have control, meaning control over our life, control over how we want things to happen, that we can influence through our control. It goes on. And once you really start to see through this, really start to look at it very closely on in an internal way, and start to watch what's really going on when you are feeling that you are in control, you realize, at least I have, how much suffering that causes. Because first of all, I'm attached to an outcome. As soon as I feel that I can have control or influence something in my life, then I'm attached to an outcome. I'm also then in resistance to anything that is happening that looks like it could put my control or put my whatever my situation is in jeopardy. So then I'm caught up in that, and then I get caught up in the future of having all these thoughts and ideas of, what if this happens, then what? Or what if this doesn't happen, then what? And it can be just for simple things. I'm not talking where you think you need to control something that's really a serious situation or trauma. I'm just talking about everyday stuff. And what I found for myself is, as I can kind of start to see myself in the act of thinking I'm in control, when I can see it, notice it, get kind of up close and personal with it, then I can start to see how this whole thing kind of works itself out, not in a good way, and how it keeps me stuck, keeps me in the loop. It keeps me on the hamster wheel in trying to control whatever it is. So let me give you an example. So we have a project that we're doing at home, a home project, a do-it-yourself type thing. And it involved ordering some product and then getting the product, and there was some assembly that had to be done. And so first it starts with, okay, is this going to come on time, or how long does it take to get this? It said a week. Okay, will we get it? Well, we did. Then it's like putting it together, and discovered that there was some key parts missing that my husband went to find in like Home Depot, hardware stores, etc. It took many stores till he finally found it. But this was happening through days, several days of these hiccups happening. And then he did need help to install this thing, which I couldn't help him with because it was too heavy I just couldn't. I wasn't strong enough, etc. to help. So he needed to get a neighbor to help, which was no problem, except the neighbor was going to be traveling soon and be gone for a week or so. And that meant that we'd either have to wait or we'd have to, I guess, hire a person to help, whatever. Anyway, that's the behind the scenes, if you will, story. All through this time, I was watching where my mind was going. And even to the point, looking at the weather, because this is an outdoor project and it's to help us with to give us more shade. And I think I mentioned some time back, not too far, that the shade tree for us, which was in our neighbor's yard, but it shaded our yard a lot, the neighbor decided to cut it down. So once we lost that tree, it had a whole lot of not good things that were happening because that tree was no longer there, including the shade and including blocking some views that were nice to have blocked. So there were several things that went on. But most of all, it caused us a concern about summer coming and being able to block some of the sun. So it's basically an awning that we were putting up, retractable awning. And but so no big deal. I mean, this was not life-threatening. But as I began to watch me having these issues or these thoughts around what if, what if we can't get the part? What if we don't get it done quick enough for my neighbor to help? What if the thing doesn't work when it gets up? What if the whole idea doesn't work once we have this installed and maybe it's not going to help us at all with the sun? And it just went on and on and on. I'm sure some of you can relate to how you might have had reaction to something that's also maybe simple. But the point here was not so much it was my reaction, but not so much me having the reaction as being aware of watching this and starting to see how much I was suffering in wanting to have control over this whole thing. I wanted control over everything. I wanted control over the weather. I wanted control over timing. I wanted control over how it looked. I wanted control over the neighbor traveling. I mean, the whole thing is off the wall. And so by going through this, having this awareness while I was still having these issues, still wanting control, I was able to see through this whole illusion, and that's what it is, of control and how that keeps me stuck. Because the bottom line, and I know this on a very strong inner level, that there's no control here. There's nobody here to have control. There's no me. There's no person that's in control. That's all illusion. In fact, the whole thing is illusion, but I kind of have to break it down to where I'm at. So I can see that by this belief that I have control keeps me stuck, and at the same time, feeling I have control kind of makes me feel safe, right? So when I really have to look at, wait a minute, I don't have any control over anything, it's kind of terrifying. Kind of feels like, oh my God, I don't know if I can deal with this idea. Yet I know that's true because there is no me here that's doing anything or having anything. There's just this bodily experience that's being experienced through whatever, I've been calling it spirit. It's a mystery. It's whatever it is that's having this experience of just life flowing. It just flows. It just happens. Life is a happening. And as it happens, what really creates our experience is either if we're just in the flow and not in resistance and not in needing to control and not in denial of things, but just being in the moment, the now moment, as life just is moving through this body. Then there's an incredible experience from what I hear. I haven't been there. Occasionally I have, but most often I flip-flop in and out, more out than in. And so, because there's so many components to this whole thing of how we're experiencing what's really going on and our preferences and, our conditioning and all that we learned about how we deal with certain situations in life. So I wanted to share this because I think that if you are struggling at all, feeling that you're, suffering, and listen, we all are on some level. If you really go within, you will see underneath everything there's a fear factor, there's an unsafe factor until there isn't. And when there isn't that anymore, then there's an understanding that we're not in control, that we basically know nothing. Because that's the way it's supposed to be. Nothing's wrong with that. In fact, that's exactly right. We are in the experience of life. We're not telling life what to do. We're not, what do I want to say? We're not in charge. We're not in charge of anything. We're just here, having an experience of the flow of life. That's what it ideally could be. Because when we're not just in the flow, we're in suffering. We're in resistance. We're trying to change things. We're trying to shift things. We say, no, I don't want it that way. No. And then we get stories around it. We build a story around what's happening and how bad it is. And then we suffer. We play victim. There's all kinds of ways that this character can start to find itself in a very stressful place. So the first thing to recognize is we're not in control. You're not, I'm not, nobody is. Life is happening. We're not in control of life. We're just here for the ride. That's it. We're here for the ride. And who are we that's here? It's not a me. It's this mystery. It's this spirit, if we want to say that. Some people they call higher self or consciousness. These are all labels because we don't know how to talk about this without, we need words as this human experience is happening. We're trying to talk about something that can't really be talked about. We don't really have words that can really express it, but that's what we're trying to do, to help each other, right? To begin to move into a more inner experiential place. Knowing that nothing is outside of us. Everything is happening within this, whatever this is. It's all an experience. It can't be anything but that because there's no one here. There's no me that's separate or that's the false self. That's the belief in this false self. So these are all just beliefs. When we have this stuff going on, they're just false beliefs. Can you imagine? That is all it is. It's just a false belief. But we believe things so strongly, like control, because that makes us feel safe. But it's not. There's nothing true about it. And when we feel in control and we have things go wonky, where it shows we're not in control, we freak out and we have problems, we have issues around it, and we suffer, and we struggle, and we're doing it to ourselves. Now, when things can happen like this project I'm talking about, this awning, and it's not life-threatening or so big, it seemed like it at the time, of course, but it isn't. And so I could really back away from my insanity, and I could start to let it, break it down to let me see how I was causing myself so much suffering, what was I doing, and why I was doing it is because I wanted to be in control. Who doesn't? We all want to be in control if we could, but you know what? That's not what's happening here. and we need to accept that, and not only just accept it, to live it, to actually live like it is. It is what it is. But we have all these also preferences that are really just beliefs as well, or our programming or our conditioning of how things should be, you know? And of course, how things should be is how we believe they should be. Now, you may believe something different than I, but, I'm right, right? That's how we think oftentimes. So we have different opinions of how things should be, but we always have an opinion of how we want things. And when we don't get that, when it doesn't happen, then we are kind of knocked to the ground because we've totally now attached to a particular outcome of how things should go. So, for instance, with this project we were doing, I had certain time frames of how I needed this project to happen. And, I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it. Or, when things looked like they weren't going to go so great, like the two very important missing pieces to the project, then I'm like going in my mind like crazy. Okay, what could we do? Where could we find this? I watched how that mind starts this whole program, if you will, or this whole craziness that keeps me caught up in the craziness. And, there cannot be peace during that. It also looks crazy. When you really look at it and you really get into it, I started to see how crazy this was. But most importantly, I saw why. Why is because I want to be in control. I want to feel that there is control, that I have the control. Because when I think I'm not in control, there's a certain part of me that just freaks out. So it's a process of little by little letting in the idea that we're not in control of anything. Not in control of anything. Doesn't matter the situation. We are not in control because there is no we, there is no me. There's just life flowing through this body, mind, and this whatever mystery of whatever it is, consciousness, spirit, I don't know, is just having an experience. And when we finally, as I understand it, let's call it wake up out of the dream, out of the illusion, then we actually are in the flow. Now we have to go through several processes, and our body needs to adjust to this whole idea of, no, there is no me here. And how do we then still continue to live in this duality that's going on when we actually totally get on a gut level, on every level in the body, that there is no me, and we get to that place, then again, from my understanding, there's where the peace is. It doesn't change anything in life. Life doesn't change. It's a changing of how we're reacting or not reacting, and how we are actually experiencing the experience, right? If that makes sense. So it's a big subject, and it's a big, I think it's big for anybody, any of us. It's a big challenge to really, really release, completely 100% release any idea of that we have control. And I don't think it can happen in just one jump or one whatever. It's a process. And since we have no control, we have no control of when we stop thinking that we have control. Right? That's how it works, I think. So, I don't know. Are you with me on this at all? Does it make any sense? Have you already been through the process and you actually are one of those that knows you have no control and you're living just through the experience that you're having? You know? Or are you a control freak like me? I've been a control freak my whole life. So as a control freak, that means I have a lot of energy invested in wanting to control. So this is a big challenge for me. Yet, the motivation is I'm tired of struggling through this. I'm tired of, I'm making myself suffer. I don't want to do that anymore. It's not fun. And it's like just it never works. It never works. I mean, we can have a few times, and that's where we get fooled, where we think we actually controlled a situation or controlled something, or controlled ourselves, or I don't know, controlled anything. We have those situations which don't help us because they make us feel we're in control, but we're not. So I don't know what else to say about this other than if you can catch yourself, this has helped me a lot, and I'm on this now about really looking, watching, and observing when I'm thinking I'm in control or when I'm getting that urge if I need to be in control, to just see it. And here's the deal. Once you see it, once you really see through it, it completely kind of fades away in a way, or it's just not there in the strong way. You actually can release and feel the what do I want to call it, the relief of letting go of thinking or acting like we're in control. It's like a surrendering. I don't know. But what it is, it helped me stop having the angst and the upset and whatever else was going on around wanting to control, because I realized, let it go. It's going to happen exactly as it's going to happen, regardless of what I want, right? And how and what I want, what does that even mean? And that's probably not the way it's supposed to work, what I want. Well, because there is no I, there is no me. So it's just this illusion. It's a dream. It's so much like a dream, But at least from a dream, when we wake up, I think most of us go, oh, let's say we have a really scary or unsafe or anyway, unpleasant dream. We wake up, we may, for me, I'll feel the emotions of it for a while. And or as soon as I wake up, I'm still churning emotionally, but then, some point, quick, soon, I'll realize, I go, oh, it was just a dream. It's just a dream. Okay. So then I can just release those emotions. Well, this whole thing is just like that. I'm just in the dream. I got caught up in the dream and I forgot that I'm not the character in the dream. So anyway, I hope some of this makes sense on some level, or if it doesn't, it doesn't, but maybe it sparks something in someone. Hopefully it helps someone somewhere, but maybe it didn't. Whatever it did, it's supposed to do, because I am not in control of how anybody is reacting to this message that I'm giving. So, in the meantime, until the next video, if you had any kind of liking to this video, please click like or thumbs up, and also I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. That would be great. And if you want to have a conversation, then definitely send me a message, or if you just want to ask, have a conversation, or bring something up, definitely do that. And comment, because that's a great way where we can hear from other people as well. Maybe start a thread like that. So definitely love to ask you to leave a comment, maybe what your experience has been in this whole thing of control, or whatever you think is great. Put it down. And we'll then go from there to kind of explore this whole thing about control. And like I said, share definitely how you deal with it, or how maybe you've dealt with it and you're at a place of you're not struggling with control. That'd be great for a comment, or that's a conversation we could have. So again, my contact information is right below the video. Other links are below the video, so take a look at those. And until the next video, please be kind to yourself. I've been doing a lot of videos also on self-love. They're not published yet, so they will be. Or wait, some will already be, because I do my videos ahead of time, and then I schedule a publishing time. So yeah, I think some of those videos will come up, and you might want to check that out, because that's another kind of way that we can get caught up a lot in our stuff, is because how badly we treat ourselves. And so that's why I've really been, for myself, working on being kind to myself. And I've made some headway there. And that also gives a relief, It's such a game. I don't know. It's so hard to understand when we're in the body and having this human experience. It's so hard to understand what the whole story is about. It's like there's that secret out there that we haven't uncovered yet. But we're in the process of doing that. So, as I said already, be kind to yourself, and until next time, take care. I'm going to click this thing off. If you've listened to any videos, I don't know why, but I can't click off in the one time. Maybe today. Let's see.